Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Star Report. This is Jason. I'm here at New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki in downtown Brenham, Texas. NewDimensionsCrystals.com if you want to look us up. And today is the report that is for the week of July 17th through July 23rd. And we are going to have, it's an okay week. It's fine. It's fine. Um, might not feel fine. I mean, of course, if you're here in the West in the United States, lots of drama over the weekend in our national politics scene. And then you'll see plenty of what would you psychic kinds of people talking about the potentialities of everything that sort of had and cosmic shifts and this and that. So it's a good time to talk about astrology is the energy of what can be, not necessarily what is, right? So it's really our witness, our participation in it, our ability to manifest on our own these energies, right? So the readings that I give or the predictions that I sort of say, or here's the energies of that day, use them wisely. So just sort of pay attention to that kind of energy. Or that kind of perspective on what's going on. Let's jump right into the sun. The sun is doing sunly things. We start with the sun because it is our closest star. And so the sun this week has been pretty active, but it's been active in a minor way. So the CMEs have been in the M class range for the most part. There was an X class, which is 1 degree higher, that was yesterday, but it wasn't Earth facing with any kind of CME or coronal mass ejection. There were a couple of M class that happened overnight and into this morning, and so there is probably a minor CME heading our way, coronal mass ejection, little pieces that come out when you have the flare. And so just a reminder that when we sort of get those energies, those are sort of kickoff energies. They trigger stuff, right? So if you're on a spectrum of some kind of disorder, it might cause that. It might cause a manic episode or a depressive episode. If you have a chronic disorder like a lupus, it might flare up. Those are the kinds of things that happen during CMEs, right? These have been minor ones, right? So don't expect earth-shattering stuff. And then for the week ahead, there are plenty of sunspots on the earth-facing part of the sun. So pay attention to your feeling. A lot of us now that are paying attention to how the sun sort of affects us are really sort of getting those pre-shocks that we sort of anticipate there's going to be a flare. But you'll sort of notice if something sort of kicks off that the sun is pretty active. Speaking of the sun, we are in the solar sign of Cancer. Cancer, reason we bring these up is an alchemical correspondence with the body that, I won't say predates modern medicine, but basically right before medicine turned into pharmaceuticals, there was a whole lot of ideas that there was an alchemical nature that progressed through the body and that the body was matching the cosmos. And so when we are in the sign of Cancer, the things that correspond in the body are really the area of the breasts, the stomach, and the spleen. And so stomach is just really how we sort of digest the world we're around and how we produce energy based on the world that we're living in. Breast is always about nurture. So that can be chest muscles and stuff like that. I mean, that's the kind of energy you want to think about around that. And then the spleen is really the environment we're in, right? The spleen filters the blood for the most part. But when we're thinking of metaphysics or cosmology, the spleen is really the filtering of the energy of which we live in, right? So if you're around a lot of negative people, your spleen will get full of that negative energy quicker. So that's what you should be paying attention to. And then Cancer is about expansion and contraction, right? So just sort of think about a muscle flexing or pushing like that, or in the idea of what you should be presenting yourself to the world at, right? Sometimes it's time for expansion and sometimes it's time for contraction, right? So you need to pull back to sort of readjust or sort of not overspread yourself. Sort of think of that as the energy. And of course, we'll be moving sun signs by the end of the week, but we'll get to that in a second. We are currently in 3 retrogrades. The 3 retrogrades are Pluto, Saturn, and Neptune. Pluto is about our hidden powers. And you know, these could be talents that are actually physical talents, but for the most part, this is really things that we sort of ascribe to people like me, which is why I watch my video, who sort of practices on a daily basis, that have these hidden powers, these inner skills, these abilities to point out or discover synchronicities in the way that the universe works and things that are going on in your world. So we all have those inner powers. So when Pluto is retrograde, that is what's going on there. It is also eliminating old triggers, right? So things that used to sort of set you off into or pull you back down into a lower vibration are being taken away. And then the real power that we sort of gain by Pluto being a retrograde is it's a time to really accept our shadows, the parts of ourselves which we keep hidden, that we might think, oh, I got to keep this secret because if anybody knew this, they would think I'm such a bad person. That's the kind of energy that is sort of being let go or cleansed or unified, right? When we accept that, when it doesn't shame us, then it doesn't matter if anybody else finds it out. Therefore, we gain more power because we're not worried or limiting ourselves for fear of being found out and being shamed in a public kind of setting. Pluto being retrograde, then also Saturn retrograde. It's really finding your authentic expression of maybe even occupation of how can you use what you are, what you do, to sort of serve yourself and humanity. And really, sometimes during Saturn retrograde, you start to get recognized for the work that you do, right? That, hey, you're a badass. Here's an award, or hey, you've been working hard. Here's a raise. So sort of look for things like that to happen. And then Neptune in retrograde is really about connecting to our spiritual path. What is the point of you being here, right? What's the nature of humanity in the first place? And then specifically, what is your nature and what are you here to discover about your spiritual path? And then it also sort of grants the ability of, once you discover that, to sort of veer off in that direction if you so choose to be, or grant yourself more meaning and more whatnot for the journey, right? Hey, I'm not just going through the motions, but there's a purpose. And a lot of times this can re-energize you for just your daily life, even your daily interactions and relationships, right? Could be affected by that retrograde. Which leads us into today, Wednesday, July the 17th. Today is the beginning of Mercury retrograde pre-shadow, right? So for about 2.5, 3 weeks before Mercury goes retrograde, we have the pre-shadow. And so it will go retrograde, I believe, August 4th-ish. 4th into 5th, you know. What day is it? What side of the planet are you on? All makes a difference. But you can say that around the 4th, that'll start to happen. And so you'll start to get in this sort of time period, and then maybe even in more detail when Mercury goes retrograde, to work on relationships, people that you communicated with, people that you had contact with in the past. Old situations might be coming up. Interestingly enough, just yesterday, just sort of this sort of goes with the things that might happen during these kinds of things is they announced that we actually are going to have a high school reunion for Seguin Matadors this year, which is going to be our 30th anniversary yeah, of our graduation. Yeah, so that's a while ago. I've been out of high school for 30 years. And just sort of seeing the list of people that were included on that stuff, and those sort of reaching out and reconnecting, like, oh, why aren't we Facebook friends? Or hey, we're not Facebook friends anymore. Hey, what's happening? All that kind of stuff has started to trickle in. And so just sort of pay attention for stuff like that to happen. Leads us into tomorrow, Thursday, July the 18th. Thursday, July the 18th is really going to be affected by Uranus. Some people like to say Uranus, but you get less snickers when you say Uranus, because you're even thinking in the back of your head, like, no, man, it's Uranus. Anywho, back to the reality. Um, It's really going to be highlighting for you on Thursday your ability to adapt to all this changing BS, right? So if you were just like life was normal and then the weekend happened and you're like, wait a second, things aren't calm, things aren't less intense, things blah 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 blah. This is really going to help you focus and zero in on your ability to actually adapt. Um, and so for some of it's built in, right? And maybe it's just a skill that I've built up because things have changed, right? I had a brother that was 2.5 years older than me, so he's 2 grades ahead of me in school. And just when he would get something like, oh, when I go to this grade, this is going to happen, it never failed to change. By the time I got to like, oh no, it's not like that anymore. We're doing it like this. So my ability to adapt to change and change, especially to my expectations, was really built up probably from elementary school on. But that's the kind of energy that Uranus is going to give you on Thursday, right? So if you've been like, well, I don't even know what to believe. I don't know if it's the economy. I don't know if it's the environment. I don't know if the sun's going to explode. I don't know if the country's going to explode, all that kind of stuff. Uranus is going to give you the ability to adapt to that and like, how do I be me and continue my own path in the midst of what might seem like chaos or at least intense change. Leads us into Friday, July the 19th. Friday, you run a probably gonna all this change, all this shifting, all this energy. Probably you're gonna want to spend Friday grounding, and so grounding, what it does energetically is it's sort of like having an off day from a workout, right? If you've done some really hard workouts and you get sore and you need a day of recovery, or you need a day, maybe a spa day, right? These are the kinds of things that we really want to do on Friday for ourselves and for our energy field, right? Even though Uranus on Thursday is going to be helping us adjust to all of this, it doesn't mean that a nice breather wouldn't be good, right? So grounding, you can do earthing is a thing, mindfulness, meditation, stuff like that will sort of help. And earthing, take your shoes off and go put your feet in the grass would be a good energy to do on Friday, before, after work, during work if you work outside. That's what the energy of Friday is. Saturday, the 20th, I was like 7:20. If you spend the time grounding on Friday, you could actually feel that last little push of the zodiac of Cancer helping you expand, right? So it's all of a sudden when you take a breather and you get your energy back, you get your focus back. All of a sudden, it's time to like, oh wait, this was really working for me, and A, I enjoy it. B, I can do it, and C, it was effective, right? You can sort of discover those things that you've been doing for yourself. And on Saturday, you can sort of jump into that expansion. Leads us into Sunday. I was like, what day was that? That was Saturday. Leads us into Sunday, the 21st of July. That's going to be a full moon. It's a nice cleansing energy. The lunar energy sort of extracts stuff from the planet, which is why you put your crystals out into the moonlight to have them cleansed. It's going to be a full moon in Capricorn. So really, it's the cleansing of goals, right? So when you sort of think of cleansing of goals, you're thinking of clarifying of goals, and that if you don't have any goals, it's a good day to goal set, right? So there's a newness of beginning and extraction of the old, right? It's kind of like when you fall down and you dust yourself off. Now what? That's the kind of energy of full moon in Capricorn, which leads us into 722. Monday, we shift into the solar sign, the zodiac solar sign of Leo. And Leo is really what you would think the lion is. It's heart energy, right? So you're going to feel that in the center of the chest. That's going to be building up to the 8-8 gateway, or Lion's Gate, that everybody talks about every year. So that Lion's Gate energy is really um, the acting upon, right? So if you want to think of the beginning of the year and all this work we've been doing on ourselves is sort of tracking our prey or our goal, that when we move into Leo, it's the ability to pounce on that goal and sort of move forward or be fed by what we've been doing, right? So if it seemed like an effort or a diversion or extra energy you had to put forth to be doing all this change, when we move into Leo, then it starts to feel like good, like, oh, now this is what I've been building for kind of energy. So that happens on Monday, the 22nd, which leads us in, I think. Oh, one little thing. I was like, hey, there's another thing on the back part of my page. That energy, if you haven't been paying attention, if you haven't been paying attention, you want to go back to when Aries, beginning of the year, when we were in Aries. Aries was really this sort of spiritual gift, right? So when we move into Leo, it's time to act on those gifts, right? What specific spiritual guidance have we been manifesting? Have we been given as a download? Have we been drawing into ourselves by effort, meditation, exercise? It's really acting on what Aries uh, gave us. Now we get to move into Tuesday, the 23rd. Um, all of the energies of the retrogrades and the moon and the sun and all the fun stuff is really just sort of directing your energies to focus, right? So if you want to think about what should I be focusing on, right? What was happening in Pluto, Saturn, and Neptune, right? We want to focus on our hidden powers over not over accepting our shadow self. We want to really sort of decide, are we being authentic in our occupation, right? um that's not to say go do something and be poor, but that's to say, like, can you be more authentic in your occupation, and be willing to accept the accolades that come with that, right? A lot of times, especially, I came up in the church. A lot of times when you do good things, you're like, oh no, I don't deserve any of the credit. It was God's will, or had all this help, right? Just accept the blessings and the adoration that you get, and then really, uh, Tuesday is going to be about accepting the path that you're on, right? Um, it's kind of like it's been on TV a lot lately. The Lord of the Rings, right? It's accepting the challenge and the mission that you've discovered about yourself, and going on it despite how the outcome might seem, or how the difficulty level might seem to increase when you decide to be this spiritual person, or follow your soul's path over your prescribed path of uh, parental obligations, parental expectations, education, all the fun stuff, certifications, professional accolades, blah, 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 right? Once you shed all that up at your core, there's a mission that you should be on. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I think that's about right. So yeah, that's the week. Of course, I'm here at New Dimensions. If you want to book a session, if you're having a hard time integrating this energy in, or letting go of some stuff, or seeing your spiritual path, or you've never experienced that there's something beyond your five senses, then by all means sign up for a session here at the shop. Just go to book now. Um, and of course, there's the energy sessions, which help you align stuff and give you some insights into the self. But there's also breath work, which sort of helps you bring that spiritual energy into the physical form, and realize that your body is also a tool of expansion. So just look into those things. If you want to just drop by and see me here in Brenham, Texas, go ahead. We are usually open Wednesday through Saturday for the public. And until next week, everybody, I think there's going to be many blessings.